What if the most uncontrollable powerhouse in all of anime suddenly tore through the fabric of reality and landed in the grim darkness of the far future? Imagine a being whose rage alone bends the laws of nature, a force so unstoppable that even the gods of chaos would hesitate. That terrifying presence is Broly, and today we explore what would happen if he arrived in Warhammer 40k. Stick with me until the end, because the deeper we go, the more horrifying and legendary this encounter becomes. The reward for staying through this full journey is a shocking conclusion where we find out which power in the galaxy could possibly stand against the legendary Super Saiyan, and whether anything in the Imperium would survive his fury. In the void between galaxies, reality can fail. Warp storms twist, time fractures, and dimensions collide like broken shards grinding against each other. On a desolate world forgotten even by the Adeptus Administratum, a violent tear erupts across the sky. The ground shakes. Green lightning crackles. Something colossal is being dragged from another universe entirely. First comes a roar so deep it rattles the bedrock. The very air trembles as Broly emerges, eyes filled with primal anger, muscles bulging with limitless power, and his presence alone unleashing a shockwave that instantly pulverizes the surrounding terrain into dust. This is not a visitor. This is a catastrophe. Broly is confused. He knows nothing of this strange dark galaxy, of its endless war, its gods of madness, or its dying star realms. The only thing he recognizes is hostility, because every sound, every scent, every flicker of life feels like a threat. His power begins to spike without restraint, feeding on instinct and fear, making him stronger with every heartbeat. He is a bomb made of muscle and fury, seconds from detonating. Above the planet, orbiting ships of the Imperial Navy detect seismic readings off their charts. Astropaths scream as their psychic senses are overwhelmed by an alien rage that burns brighter than a star. The Imperium does not know what has arrived, but they already fear it. A distress beacon launches, carrying a single message: unknown Xeno-destroyer. Exterminatus level threat. Nobody understands just how right they are. Broly's arrival does not go unnoticed by the warp. A flare of psychic energy like that is impossible to ignore. Something ancient and hungry stretches its influence toward him, tasting his power, sensing the unlimited destruction that simmers beneath his skin. The ruinous powers whisper through the immaterium, each god eager to claim this new weapon. Kern hungers for the bloodshed Broly will bring. Xianj marvels at the unpredictable potential in his rage. Nergal senses the corruption that fear will spread. Even Slaanesh pauses, fascinated by the sheer intensity of the emotion emanating from this lone warrior. Yet Broly does not hear them. His mind is a storm. Memories and emotions twist violently as he tries to understand where his father is, why he was torn from battle, why he feels so alone. Pain creates anger. Anger becomes power. Power becomes devastation. The first Imperial strike force to land barely has time to comprehend what they are facing. Veteran Space Marines, warriors who have purged countless horrors, approach with caution, until Broly turns his gaze upon them. There is no recognition, only instinct. One Marine fires a bolt round. The explosion pops harmlessly against Broly's chest. He tilts his head, confused, and that tiny delay seals their fate. Broly moves. It is like watching a green comet explode into motion. Space Marines are flung away like rag dolls, armor crumpling under the force of his strikes. Their ceramite plating shatters. Limbs twist. Bones snap. Broly doesn't even seem aware he is killing them. He is reacting. Surviving. Lashing out at anything that smells of threat. Within seconds, an entire squad lies broken. The ground trembles. The planet groans. Broly's aura ignites in a swirl of emerald fire, rising higher with every surge of primal emotion. Across the galaxy, the Imperium receives the horrifying update: the asteroids have been wiped out by a single Xeno. No known species on record matches the readings. The Ordo Xenos demands immediate containment protocols. The Ordo Malleus believes the warp is involved. Meanwhile, the Adeptus Mechanicus scans the energy signatures and declares them impossible, energy levels rivaling the wildest anomalies found in the Eye of Terror. The Imperium prepares for war, but they do not realize that war has already lost. The ground continues to crack beneath Broly's feet as his power surges unchecked. His roar tears through the atmosphere, and the sound alone ruptures rock formations miles away. Every second he remains in this dimension, he adapts. His body evolves. The legendary Super Saiyan instinct awakens deeper, fueled by fear and confusion. The warp reacts violently. A shockwave of psychic agony spreads across neighboring systems, and daemons begin to manifest like moths drawn to a blazing star. Clawed monstrosities crawl screaming from the immaterium, eager to claim this new source of destruction. Their shrieks fill the air as they swarm, hoping to overwhelm him. Broly looks at them with wild eyes. They attack. They die. Before their claws even reach him, his aura pulses with green light and the daemons disintegrate into nothing. Their very existence unmade by raw physical might. Broly doesn't even notice. He is too lost in his own awakening. Every threat he destroys only cements the attention of the warp gods. Kern snarls with anticipation. Xianj plots how such power could reshape destinies. The Eye of Terror shifts ever so slightly, reacting to the birth of a new cosmic anomaly. The warp storms flicker across the stars like heartbeats sinking to Broly's rage. On Terra, alarms blare deep within hidden vaults where ancient psychic seers dream of all possible futures. The Emperor himself, entombed upon the golden throne, is said to stir. His tormented consciousness perceives the ripples of a monstrous being whose strength threatens the balance of all creation. If Broly continues to ascend like this, even the last hopes of the Imperium could be drowned in emerald fire. Meanwhile, on the bridge of a warship orbiting the doomed world, an Inquisitor stares at the battlefield feed. His face pale. His hands trembling. This cannot be a creature of flesh. Space Marines are already returning in greater number. Dreadnoughts deploy. Titans begin their descent. Entire regiments mobilize. The planet becomes a fortress within minutes. They think preparation will save them. They think numbers matter. They have not yet understood the truth. Broly is not a soldier. As the Imperium marshals its forces, another power watches with growing concern. On the far side of the galaxy, aboard a vast craft world drifting through the void, the Eldar Farseers feel a surge of energy that nearly overwhelms them. Their psychic senses recoil as if touched by a burning sun. They scramble to read the skeins of fate, trying to understand who or what has entered real space. Each possible future ends the same way. Death. Worlds burning in cascading emerald shock waves. War marches without end. Even the gods fall silent. The Farseers agree that this new being must never be allowed to grow stronger, because if he does, even the Eldar's ancient doom could arrive far sooner than expected. Meanwhile, the orcs are ecstatic. Word spreads through their fungal psychic network like lightning crackling through mold. A new Crump god has appeared. One so mighty that even the biggest, meanest war bosses cannot imagine the fight. Warbands across sectors immediately change course, mobilizing toward this unknown being who outshines even Gork and Mork in raw carnage. Broly's rampage is a beacon, calling every greenskin who wants the ultimate scrap. Where the Imperium sees an extinction-level threat, the orcs smell the greatest fight in the galaxy. Broly, unaware of any of this, stands at the center of a crater that expands with every breath he takes. He looks at the broken remains of space marines scattered around him, and for a brief instant, his rage eases. Confusion fills his eyes. He clutches his head, trying to piece together what happened, where he is, and why everything keeps attacking him. Then he remembers Paragus. His father. His anchor. His only connection to sanity. He is gone. The planet rumbles. Broly's grief twists into fury. His aura erupts again, a pillar of swirling green energy stabbing into the sky and punching straight through the cloud layer. Warp storms ignite overhead like a wound reopening across the cosmos. In that moment, high above the planet, the Imperial Navy makes its decision. Planetary annihilation. The order is uttered with a shaking voice. The most extreme measure mankind can take. Exterminatus. Missiles and cyclonic torpedoes arm themselves as the countdown begins. The Imperium believes its only hope is to erase the entire world, and everything on it, before the threat spreads. They have judged correctly that Broly cannot remain here. They have judged incorrectly that they can actually kill him. The sky turns into fire. Exterminatus has begun. Cyclonic torpedoes streak downward like falling stars, each one capable of tearing a planet's crust apart. The Imperium sacrifices entire populations without hesitation when the alternative is worse. Right now, they believe Broly is the alternative. As the missiles descend, the atmosphere crackles with the destructive energy of total annihilation. Broly looks up. There is no strategy in his gaze, only instinct. He feels the incoming threat. The entire planet trembles beneath the pressure of death itself. His muscles tighten. His aura roars to life with a violent surge that shakes the heavens. The legendary Super Saiyan refuses to die. He leaps. The air detonates behind him as he launches upward faster than any missile can track. In seconds he reaches the first torpedo and smashes it with a single punch. The explosion blooms against his aura and disperses harmlessly. He does not stop. He tears through the next one with a scream that cracks the sky in two. The Imperium watches in horror. One final warhead detonates prematurely. A blast that should strip continents down to molten stone crashes against Broly's body. For a moment, all readings vanish. No cameras survive. Silence grips the entire fleet. Then the fire clears. Broly floats there. Unburned. Undefeated. His power spikes beyond anything this galaxy has ever measured. The emerald aura twists into a hurricane of light. Lightning arcs. His eyes glow with a terrifying, primal rage. The air around him screams as if reality itself cannot withstand his presence. The targeted planet begins to die. The crust ruptures from the chaos unleashed, oceans boiling away into space. Entire battalions of Imperial forces are vaporized in the shockwave of Broly's ascension. The Inquisitor's voice breaks over the Vox network. Impossible, he is evolving, again. Broly roars. Not a sound of pain. Not confusion. This time it is something much worse. Pure, unstoppable joy. The thrill of combat. The ecstasy of destruction. His instincts embrace the overwhelming rush of power. He is no longer merely reacting. He is celebrating. With a single motion, he lunges toward the orbiting fleet. The void fills with emerald light. Battleships attempt evasive maneuvers, but it changes nothing. Broly plows through adamantine hulls like paper, ripping capital vessels in half with his bare hands, each explosion fueling his bloodlust further. The Imperium faces an enemy they cannot comprehend. Something beyond chaos. Beyond Xenos. A titan of fury that grows stronger with every heartbeat. Broly's massacre in orbit. Tears' psychic wounds open across the void. Daemons spill into real space, drawn by the feast of destruction, but they are not predators today. They are scavengers hoping to survive in the shadow of the true monster. Ships erupt in chain reactions of fire and shattered metal as Broly streaks through the fleet like a living meteor, each strike sending debris scattering like confetti at a nightmare parade. Entire battle groups meant to conquer worlds fall silent in minutes. The Imperium retreats. Withdraw orders flood every channel. It is not a tactical repositioning. It is fear. For the first time in centuries, seasoned commanders admit there is nothing they can do. No barrage of heavy weaponry can match raw evolutionary power that surges endlessly upward. Broly learns. He adapts. He grows. Restraint is dead. There is no ceiling to his ascent. Across the segmentum solar, psychic choirs collapse screaming. Astropaths bleed from eyes and ears as visions of a green sun consuming the stars flood their consciousness. Even the Grey Knights feel the edges of dread, because this is no demonic incursion guided by the whim of chaos. This is a natural apex born in another universe entirely. Something that exists solely to fight until nothing stands. On Holy Terra, ancient mechanisms strain. The Emperor's withered form flickers through the warp, his ravaged soul sensing a calamity beyond any crusade. Legends whisper he once defeated gods. Now he feels the arrival of a force that threatens even his long eternity of sacrifice. Broly pauses. For the first time since entering this corrupted galaxy, he senses something different. Not fear. Not hostility. A challenge. It is faint, millions of light years away, but unmistakable. A presence strong enough to test him. A beacon that calls to his warrior heart. His grin is feral. He clenches his fists and the raw energy around him flares, bending the stars. Space distorts under the pressure. Gravity weeps. Without hesitation, Broly turns toward that distant signal and launches into the void at impossible speed. Trails of emerald fire streak behind him as he tears across the galaxy faster than any warp jump could track. Where he passes, warp storms ignite. Asteroids splinter into dust. Smaller moons crack and collapse into themselves. His destination is inevitable. The throne world. The heart of mankind's empire. The cradle of hope and tyranny. Terra. The Imperium has faced traitors, aliens, demons, and gods. Now it must face something worse. A lone unstoppable soldier of raw instinct traveling like a green comet of doom straight toward the Emperor. There is only one truth left in the universe. Broly is coming. As Broly hurtles across the stars, Terra descends into a state of unprecedented alert. Sirens wail throughout the Imperial Palace. The Adeptus Custodes, the Emperor's golden demigods, prepare for a threat unlike any they have faced since the Horus Heresy. Psychic wards flare to life. Defensive macro batteries orbiting the throne world lock their targeting systems on a single incoming anomaly that shatters every known measurement. Millions drop to their knees in prayer, unaware that prayer may not be enough this time. High lords argue with trembling voices. Some demand the activation of relic weapons forbidden for 10,000 years. Others insist even that will not be enough. The Mechanicus calculates probabilities and finds only numbers that signify extinction. Inside the warp, chaos gods watch the unfolding event like hungry spectators. Kern's laughter shakes Daemon worlds. Saiyan whispers to 1,000 agents, urging them to observe how fate bends. Even Abaddon aboard the vengeful spirit feels the tremor run through his bones, his eyes narrowing at a new variable entering the long war. Broly approaches Terra's system. The Imperial Navy forms a blockade thicker than the rings of a gas giant. Titans of the Void, Gloriana-class battleships, and Archmechanic-use vessels converge in perfect formation. They ready enough firepower to unmake a star. Broly does not slow down. A single punch sends him through the first ship like a spear. The explosion blossoms behind him. The fleet opens fire with everything they have. Lance beams, plasma torrents, and nova shells turn the void into a blinding sea of destruction. Broly screams back at the galaxy. The entire blockade shatters. Shards of once holy battleships rain like comets toward the planet. The psychic shockwave of Broly's fury spreads across Terra's surface. Civilians collapse. Astropaths faint. Librarians cry out in agony as they feel the raw, unfiltered presence of a being that should not exist. Broly descends through the atmosphere engulfed in emerald fire. He lands near the palace gates, a crater spreading for kilometers. Statues of ancient heroes crumble. Autoblasters along the walls track him with panicked precision. The custodes march out. Their armor shines like the sun, halberds raised, golden giants of perfect genetic craft. They are the Emperor's might perfected, champions forged to battle the worst horrors in the universe. They know fear exists. They just have never felt it. Until now. Broly stands tall, chest heaving, aura whipping with violent force. The custodes brace themselves, psychic shielding activated, each one a living legend prepared to die. The ground cracks under Broly's first step. The clash begins. Golden warriors strike with superhuman speed, each blow capable of crushing tanks and splitting Daemons in half. Broly barely registers their attacks. His laughter grows manic as their weapons spark harmlessly against his skin. His counterattack is brutal, unstoppable. Custodes are sent flying, armor dented and broken. Their discipline never falters, yet their bodies simply cannot keep up. One by one, they fall. These are warriors who bested traitor Primarchs, who defended the Emperor across millennia. Yet Broly swats them aside like glittering dust caught in a hurricane. Above it all, within the throne room, an ancient presence watches silently. The Emperor's shattered spirit burns with cold fury as the unstoppable force of another universe tears his finest apart. The final line of defense is breaking. Humanity's God King may have to awaken once more. Deep within the Imperial Palace, echoing through vaults older than recorded history, the Golden Throne begins to tremble. Tech priests scream in terror as ancient systems surge to life with power they have not handled since the darkest days of the heresy. The Astronomicon flares like a newborn star, blinding Psykers across the galaxy. Something stirs inside that sacred prison of flesh and unending agony. The Emperor feels the presence of Broly. He does not see a simple Zeno. He does not see a creature of chaos. He sees a being who embodies pure, unfiltered willpower and evolution. A rampaging force that cannot be manipulated by the warp. A threat to order itself. 10,000 years of silence crack under the weight of necessity. The Emperor's consciousness reaches out like a spear of golden light piercing the warp. Broly freezes mid-strike. The custode sees the moment, striking with renewed fury, but Broly barely notices them anymore. His entire focus is drawn upward, toward the immortal mind calling his name without words. A psychic presence collides with him. For the first time since arriving in this galaxy, Broly's smile fades. A voice roars inside his skull, drowning out everything else. Enough. The blast of raw psychic force hurls Broly backward. His body smashes through bastion walls, pulverizing adamantium and ceramite like paper. The custodes, barely hanging onto life moments earlier, stare in disbelief. The Emperor is not fully awakened. His broken form remains bound to the golden throne. Yet even a fraction of his power shakes reality. Broly rises. Blood trickles from his mouth. His fury ignites. The emerald aura explodes outward with a rage that dwarfs every life-ending event he has triggered so far. The ground liquefies under his feet. Monuments dissolve under the weight of his power. Warp entities scream in delight. Broly launches into the sky, a green comet streaking directly toward the sanctum of the Emperor. The Adeptus Custodes rush to intercept, but Broly tears through them in a flash of light. The air warps. Time fractures for a heartbeat. He reaches the Eternity Gate. Defending it is one warrior who has stood unbroken since the first days of the Imperium. Constantine Valder. The legend. The first of the 10,000. His halberd gleams with the fury of ancient battles. Valder's voice cuts through the roar. For the Emperor. Broly roars back, and the two forces collide in an explosion of energy and divine fury. Valder moves like a golden blur. Blades clash against skin that might as well be forged from the bones of gods. Every strike that lands on Broly releases enough force to cause earthquakes across Terra. Broly's counters are so devastating that each missed swing vaporizes tons of stone. Valder is perfection in motion. Strategy. Experience. Precision. Broly is evolution made flesh. Instinct. Adaptation. Limitless ascent. The duel is short. Violent. Valder's halberd finally pierces Broly's chest. Broly looks down at the weapon, confused for only an instant. Then he smiles. Power erupts once more, shredding sacred armor. Valder is hurled through the colossal doors of the throne room, armor smoking, bones cracking. Broly steps inside. Columns collapse as his aura presses outward. The air itself screams. The Emperor's throne radiates blinding light, psychic lightning arcing across the chamber like the wrath of a god. Broly stares upon the decaying figure bound to machines and life support. He does not understand who or what this skeletal being is. He understands only one thing. A challenge like no other stands before him. The Emperor's voice echoes, shaking the galaxy. Warrior. Listen. Broly growls back, fists clenched, eyes glowing like twin supernovas. There will be no conversation. Only a battle that will decide the fate of everything. A storm of power erupts within the throne room. The Emperor's psychic form rises like a golden colossus, unchained by mortal limitations. The broken body seated upon the throne remains still, but the true Emperor now stands in the warp and real space simultaneously. Wings of blinding light stretch outward, shaking the palace to its foundations. The sheer pressure of his presence forces even the mightiest custodes to their knees. Broly only grins wider. The Emperor's voice thunders, not with anger, but with necessity. You threaten the future of mankind. I cannot allow this. Broly's answer is a punch that shatters sound itself. The Emperor meets it with a surge of psychic might. The collision tears reality open, warp rifts spiraling outward like gaping wounds in the air. Terra quakes. Billions look to the heavens, believing Judgment Day has come. The duel spirals into chaos. The Emperor teleports, golden fire streaking across the room. Broly spins with instinctive precision, catching the strike with his forearm and laughing. The flames of the Master of Mankind scorch his flesh, Yet the pain only fuels the furnace within him. His Saiyan biology adapts instantly, skin toughening, energy rising. Every moment makes him stronger. The Emperor unleashes the force that once humbled Daemon princes and shattered traitor legions. Golden energy tears the palace apart, melting steel and stone alike. Yet Broly plows through the storm, each blow he lands sending psychic shockwaves across the warp. Demonic entities cry out as the backlash obliterates them without direct contact. The Emperor realizes the terrifying truth. Broly is evolving faster than divinity itself can suppress. He shifts tactics. Telepathic force slams into Broly's consciousness, attempting to cage the raging mind within. The room fills with howls as Broly's psyche battles the strongest mind in the galaxy. Memories flash. Paragus. Loss. Betrayal. Fear. Those emotions ignite something primordial. Broly's scream shatters the psychic restraints. His eyes burn with pure chaosless rage. He lunges with a strike so powerful that it sends the Emperor crashing back into the throne, cracks spider webbing across its ancient frame. The Astronomicon flickers. Across the galaxy, humanity teeters on the brink of blind chaos as their guiding light wavers. The Emperor rises again, but a sliver of dread enters his immortal soul. Broly has surpassed every limit. The Emperor takes one final gamble. He summons power drawn from humanity itself. Every prayer, every dream, every desperate plea for survival surges into him. The warp roars as if the heavens themselves are screaming. A beam of golden annihilation erupts from his hand. Broly raises his palms, emerald energy spiraling into a raging sphere of destruction. Two forces of unimaginable magnitude collide. The blast consumes the throne room. Walls vaporize. History turns to dust. Outside, the palace itself begins collapsing as the shockwave expands. Custodes shield civilians with their own bodies, though even they feel their armor buckle. The light fades. Broly stands. His aura burns brighter than ever, but he bleeds. His chest rises and falls with actual exertion. For the first time since arriving in this universe, he knows pain that does not immediately fade. The Emperor's psychic form flickers as fatigue gnaws at his divine essence. Both titans lock eyes again. Neither speaks. This final exchange will decide not just Terra's fate, but the fate of every star in the galaxy.